With no account required, you can now go to securustech.net and put money directly on an offender's trust account. Save on fees and deposit money today. Go to securustech.net. That's SECURUSTECH.net. Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
Gypsy.
an offender at the Chillicothe Correctional Center.
This call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charges, press 2. Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Hi. Again?
Hi, thank you. I actually was able to blow dry my hair.
Oh.
Yeah, perfect. I had like the most random thought just now when I was listening to the recording. How did they make you make those, like, hi, it's Gypsy, like, when did you record that?
Okay, so back in 2017, they used to have you record a little prompt. But then, like, it's been they never asked me to re-record it since then. So, at first, the first prompt I made was like, it's Gypsy Blanchard. I just said my name. And then an opportunity came up where they're like, please record your small message, your short message or whatever. Beep. And I said, hey, it's Gypsy. And then, like, I pressed one for, like, that's it. So that's how that came to be. It's like when you come to prison, they ask you to record your name or a small message, and that's where I recorded it.
Do you do that on an iPad or, like, through their system or, like, a microphone?
It's only through their system, the Securus.
And is that on a computer?
No, it's on the phone.
Oh, okay. So they had a phone.
Just like whenever, you remember the home landline?
Yeah.
And they're like, record your message after the
beep.
Yeah, like that.
Oh, okay. But whose phone is it?
It's the prison.
Oh, do they give it to you or?
No. The phones are mounted on the wall. So imagine a payphone. Imagine 4 payphones side by side by side.
Okay.
And it's mounted to the front wall, like the side front wall of the wing.
Okay.
And every wing, like every housing unit has 4 wings, A, B, C, and D.
Okay.
And every wing has 4 phones.
That's
phones mounted to the wall.
So I'm assuming they're not really payphones anymore. They're just obviously it's operated through the system.
Right.
Cool. Oh, okay. Because I think it's like the coolest, like most pleasant message. Like, hey, like I don't know. It's just really. I just thought that. So I wanted to ask you 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So obviously, if you had to do it all over, then what wouldn't you do? But aside from the obvious, is there anything that you wished you'd done differently, like from the time of the running away with him, the 5 days, the walk out, the interaction with police? Like, do you ever go through it in your, and say, I really wish I would have done this or taken the opportunity for that, or do you reflect
my whole life was just specifically after I got caught for the murder.
Well, first I wanted to talk specifically. That was my next follow-up question would have been before, but no, just in the aftermath of the murder, just those days, how following, like, do you look back and say?
I would have just like really been honest with police. I would have been a lot more forthcoming about the truth. Instead of like trying to self-preservation and everything, just say, this is what happened, this is what I did, this is, just be very upfront. I wish I could have done that.
Right.
If I could go back and do that. That's the only thing that I'd do different.
Was the way that you handled those interrogations, was that kind of being held against you? Was that part of like a case against you? Like, look, she's a liar. Did it ruin your credibility? And that's why you wish?
know, I think a lot of people understood why I was trying to, like, I changed my story a couple times. So I think a lot of people understood that, like, I was scared, and you know, I remember how I talked to you about, like, Francesca Maselli and how she came and approached my family wanting to be an advocate for me, wanting to create a show in which people could learn my story or whatever. Or she says after that she seen my interrogation video, her whole feeling of me changed because I initially lied.
Right.
Well, of course I initially lied. Nobody is going to go into an interrogation for murder saying, yeah, I did it, and this is why I did it. Sure did. I admit everything. Nobody does that. So it's no different than the next person or the next person.
Right.
But, you know, knowing what I know now, I should have just helped the police.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Now, what about, like, do you ever run through, like, the different, like, alternate universes that you could have been living in? You know, like, have you ever seen the movie Sliding Doors?
No.
It's really good. It's Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's basically, like, in one scenario, she's trying to catch a subway to work, and she misses the subway, and it's like the whole life is played out because she missed that subway. But then the next half of the movie is she gets on the subway, she makes the subway, and she makes the meeting at work, and her whole life is different because she made the train. So it's called Sliding Doors because it's like whether the doors open for her or they shut right in front of her and she missed it, her whole entire life was different. Yep. But anyway, so that movie has, like, different universes that could have happened. So I was just wondering, like, do you ever play out, like, this could have been one universe, this could have been another. If I would have done this, it would have been this universe, and it would have been that universe.
I started to, and then I was driving myself crazy because I can't go back over the coulda, shoulda, wouldas.
Right.
You know.
But even if it was like the alternative could have been worse for you, because we had discussed that how scared you were about that last surgery.
Right. And you know, a part of me is like, you know, hey, if I grew up with my dad, I would be in college right now. I would probably have been finished college, graduated, maybe went on to be a really successful something important. You know, but that's not what happened, and I stick to the present. I stick to the reality that I'm in, because when I did that, when I tried to figure out, well, had I done this? Well, had I done that? I was becoming very depressed because I'm like, and grieving a life that could have been for me.
Right.
So I try and stay very present and in the reality that I live in.
Right. That makes so much sense. It's very wise. I'm assuming that was hard to kind of pull yourself out of.
Right. Because, I mean, even if on the worst case scenario, so like on the best case scenario, I lived with my dad, and I would have grew up with a sister and a brother and, you know, a loving family and had a normal childhood and adulthood. And then on the other end of the spectrum, what happens if I would have died on the operating room table for one of my surgeries? You know, either way, it's like I get depressed from one extreme to another. You know, I feel sad because I didn't get to have, you know, a normal life, and then I get sad thinking that could have been an outcome for me, you know, dying because of all the stuff that was going on.
Right. Do you know, part of the memoir writing is, I think the powerful part comes from, you know, kind of like introspection and kind of like, I wondered, you know, just more than facts, right? Did you ever think that it was getting to a point, because I've always found it so interesting that, you know how like the throat chakra, you know about like chakras and like alternative medicine?
I know about them a little bit, but they got a little confusing, so I'm not really all that much familiar with them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, if you ever, you know, read when you're, you know, looking to grow spiritually or something, like there's different physical energy chakras in your physical self, and like, so they're saying like when people have like laryngitis or like they get like a lot of sore throats or they have like tonsil problems. Some alternative medicine people will say like, what are you not saying? That is your chakra saying like it's controlling your voice, it's controlling your throat. It's symbolizing that there's something that you need to speak, or you're being you're being controlled and you don't feel that you have a voice. Like it's really interesting, right? So, but anyway, I'm wondering, like, because I know, like, oh, why is her voice so hot? It was like all this focus on your voice, and then they were going to do an exploratory surgery, right? It wasn't even to fix anything.
Right.
So was there a threat that you could have lost your ability to speak literally? Like,
I was scared of that. Like, that was something that I was very scared of. I'm like, why are we, like, wondering why is my voice so squeaky? Like, I get that it's squeaky, but it's just my voice. They are like, it's abnormally squeaky. There must be something with the airflow in the throat, and so they wanted to do that surgery. And so, yeah, it scared me. I'm like, what happens if I lose my voice and I won't be able to talk? Now, of course, I think my mom would have loved that because she always say that my voice and my words and my mouth is always going to get me in trouble.
And I think it's interesting because ultimately it would have really gotten her in trouble. Right. Because I was going to ask you, like, I mean, I don't want to, put nefarious things, things your mother was purposely doing, but, there was a discussion where it's like, look, now she's in deep trouble if this because she's in so deep felony-wise. I mean, on so many different. So, I mean, now you're getting older, and it seems that she's having more of a hard time controlling you. She has to physically put you in a shed and lock you in. I mean, like, it's getting hard. And so, I mean, with this threat of losing your voice, I mean, and having her actually have to be your interpreter and communicator, like, that was
a risk that, like, I was really, really scared about. And, I felt like it wasn't necessary. I'm like, that was like the first time that I'm like, I feel like this is not necessary.
Right. And of course they wouldn't listen to you because she was your proxy because you were basically incompetent mentally, right?
Right, exactly.
I just wonder if there was, subconsciously her thinking, it wouldn't be a bad thing if you lost your voice.
Right. And I don't feel like she would have thought it was a bad thing if I did.
Right. Wow. Okay. I don't know if you talk about that with the lifetime people because I think that's such a big piece.
No, I didn't. I just said, there was an upcoming surgery that I didn't want to have. That's it.
Yeah. I just, anyway, I find that, I just find it very interesting, all of these, the respiratory problems and, everything, again, around the chakra of speaking for yourself, right? And, it's a really cool, if you ever read up on, like, holistic alternative medicine, it's very cool. A lot of it, it's like the body keeps the score kind of thing. Like if you have trauma, a lot of times you might have like certain pains in places, they say like my mother-in-law, she was molested as a child and she always had really, really, very debilitating gynecological problems. And finally, like they couldn't even figure it out. And then she went to like a spiritual person and they were like, have you ever told anyone what happened to you? Because you're holding all of that pain in the part of you that's a woman. And of course, yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like really interesting to be like, why do I have throat cancer? Oh, it's because, I was suppressed all my life by my mother who spoke for me or made me, so anyway, just something to look into just for your own edification.
Yeah, like it correlates, like it all connects in a sense.
Yeah, because your body's like trying to speak to you, right? So your body's trying to tell you, you need to address this, psychological issue, and it's manifesting through the different chakra. So anyway, so yeah, I found that very interesting about my mother-in-law, and she was like, it makes so much sense when you're molested, and like now I'm having endometriosis and all these gynecological problems and blah blah blah, and it was like her body in pain there, right? And she never spoke of it. So once you release yourself, you know, a lot of times you can help the symptoms.
Right.
So anyway,
Wow, that's
I once did a book with a medical medium, so like I was like really interested in all that stuff.
okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so getting back to you know, okay, so the things that you would have done differently really would have just been like fess up, cooperate, help.
Yeah.
Do you feel, were you trying to still protect Nick? Because you didn't know he was just spilling the beans.
Right. I didn't after the detective really kind of just honed in on me. I was asking me questions because I felt like the line of questions was like, why did you kill your mom? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And I'm like, it wasn't me that killed her. You know, like you know, so it was kind of like I was basically saying it wasn't me that did the act. I didn't say I asked him to do the act, but I was very clear, like I didn't do it. And he's like, but you know who did? And I'm like, mm-hmm. So it's like he really he broke me down little by little by little to where I was like, it was Nick. So where Nick was a little bit like, he had said that same story that we both said to say at first, and then they broke him down really quickly. So,
okay.
So, but after that first interrogation, like neither one of us was protecting each other.
Right.
Like we were just dealing with our own sides of the case.
Right. Right. When you said that in the first time in county, when I was asking you, like, okay, so you're not really, you know, understanding how the news is breaking to neighbors, and people were kind of like, oh my God, what? She was never sick, like all this. But you said that you received letters.
Yeah.
Did you receive letters from those neighbors or family or people who knew?
No.
Like, were they?
No.
Oh.
They were all strangers.
Oh, okay. So you never really spoke with anyone aside from Christy and Rod who were shocked about the news.
Exactly. My life from before was cut, like as if you would be cutting a piece of yarn. Like it was literally cut, separated, and never to be addressed again. And so only recently, after I made Facebook recently, I think I made my Facebook account in January. I asked Ryan to set me up with social media. And I've been reaching out to people here and there through a Facebook message, apologizing and saying, I know it's been a long time. I get out this year, and I don't know how you feel about everything that happened. I just want to let you know that I'm sorry for the way things played out, and I'm in a much better headspace in place in my life. And if you would like to correspond with me, I would be open to that. I would enjoy that. I would, love to hear from you. And I have done that with several people, neighbors, my mother's friends that my mother had when she was a child, and high school, and just different people that we met along our journey together.
Mm-hmm.
From city to city that we bounce around to. Everybody. Not everybody has responded back, but there has been some that has. And they have accepted my Facebook friend request, and we're Facebook friends now, and they wish me the best. They have said that when news had broke, they just wanted to they were in such a state of shock, but they didn't know how or what to say to me, and so they just stayed out of it.
Mhm.
And so I am, having those conversations with those people 8.5 years later, after being so abruptly cut from their life.
Yeah. What kind of, do you think, because that's a very vulnerable place to be, right? It's brave. There's so many people out there who definitely are estranged from people that we're super close with. We all have that story. And, whether you break up in a divorce and you lose half your friends or whatever, but for you to sit down and decide, I'm going to put it out there, risking rejection.
Mhm.
I mean,
Absolutely.
how did you?
I'm okay with it if they reject me, because I understand that they are, it was such a painful thing that happened. I get it.
What made you? Was there like a moment, like, were you always thinking like I really want to write these people, or was there just a moment where you just decided to say, that's it, I'm going to risk this rejection, but this is something I have to do?
I've always wanted to talk to them, and I just didn't have the means, or it wasn't the right time. So like having no contact information was a big hindrance. I didn't know anyone's phone number to contact them and call them, or an address to write them after I got sent to prison, and was able to, freely say whatever I need to say. I was already convicted. I'm doing my time. I'm doing my sentence. I am guilty. So there was nothing to protect as far as I didn't do this, I didn't do that. I could say, yes, it's true. I had a part in it. And it was a mistake. It was a bad choice. I know I should have done things differently. But it's like, because I didn't have their phone numbers or anything, I didn't reach out. And Christy and I really never talked about setting me up with social media, because actually inmates in here, or inmates in general, the prison would like it. So where if you have an existing social media account, just go ahead and like deactivate it, because if you're going to be incarcerated for a while, there's no need for you to like use it or anything, until they prefer you to just like shut down all your accounts while you're incarcerated. So, and also like, because of that, there had been like a lot of Facebook support groups, and social media groups that were case discussion groups, and like quote unquote fans would write to the prison or even call my caseworker and be like, I saw her story on her website, and they meant the Facebook support group that I didn't run or have anything to do with. It was strangers that created accounts that would just discuss my case, and I would get in trouble. I would get talked to by the caseworker and say, what are they talking about? Do you have inmate dating websites? Are you looking for tricks? Are you looking to extort people for money? I'm like, no. I'm like, let me explain. I'm like, I'm a high-profile case. A lot of people are very supportive and sympathetic to my plight. And because of that, there is a lot of support websites on social media that I don't control. And I don't even know the people that run them, that are the admins of them. So I can't tell them to shut them down. But he's like, well, he's kind of an asshole, but he's like, yeah, right. Well, shut them down. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, really.
There's such assholes in this prison.
Yeah.
But it's like the prison doesn't know how to handle a high-profile situation.
Yeah.
Like, they would shit their balls if they had, like, Casey Anthony or Jodi Arias to handle. You know what I'm saying? So, handling me, that's somewhere along those lines. They think that everything's just my fault, and I run everything, and I control everything, and I'm like, I don't.
Right. Wow. That's something. So just, because today's Christmas Eve. So what's going on over there? Are you like just trying to ignore it and just be like, I don't hear it, I don't care? Is it painful or is it okay?
I don't care. After I get off the phone with you, I'm gonna go and take a nap.
Okay. And then what about tomorrow? Tomorrow's your last Christmas.
Yeah, I'm going to go eat the holiday meal that they're going to have. They have, like, ham and a little bit of, like, some cranberry sauce and a roll. And I think they're going to have some sort of, like, sweet treat, which is like a cake of some sort, like a little slice of cake. So I'm going to go eat that for lunch, and then I'm going to come back and sleep some more. So I'm just going to sleep my days away at this point.
Right, and that's not out of depression. That's out of, like, I just want this to go faster.
Yes, I want to go faster so I can hurry up and and get to, Wednesday or Thursday, whichever day.
Yeah.
So.
Right. So, and then we had discussed like different traditions that you and your mom used to do, but Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, it was just kind of the same. You two, you didn't go anywhere. You didn't.
Movies. Like tonight, around 7, I'm gonna watch It's a Wonderful Life. I do that every Christmas Eve, and so that's what I'll be doing tonight. Ryan is going over to his mom's, and they're cooking and they're watching some football. I don't want to call just because I feel weird. Remember how we talked about that family dynamic?
Mhm. Yep.
So I don't want to call. Let's kind of let him do his thing and me do my thing. And then tomorrow I'll call him to wish him a happy Christmas, and then just kind of stick to myself for the rest of the day, watch TV and stuff.
I was going to ask you, like, do you think or do you worry that, I was imagining what it might be like to be at Christy's house, at Christy and Rod's tonight or tomorrow. I don't know if they celebrate. In Italian, culture, Christmas Eve is the big deal. Like, we kind of just eat fish. So I don't know if Christmas Day or Christmas Eve is where they celebrate most, but, I was trying to imagine.
You should go over, like, Christy and Mia and Dylan usually always go over at Christy's mom's, which is just down the street. And they celebrate there. They cook and they have the whole shebang there.
Okay, on Christmas Day. Right. No, I was just trying to put myself in their shoes. Like, I wonder if they're feeling like, this is, for them, this will be like the last Christmas where it'll ever be like this for them. Right. And so, how do you feel about that? Do you understand that? Like, the dynamic will be different next year when you're at the table, and
it will be, and I look forward to it. I think right now it's been this way for 8.5 years. I know that for them it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna be celebrating Christmas, but I think probably to them it's like Christmas will be truly celebrated on the 28th when we all get to open presents together.
Right. Have you ever had a Christmas with your father?
No.
So this is really your first Christmas celebrating with your dad?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Okay. So yeah. So for Mia and Dylan, they've never had a Christmas with you. So this is really the end of sort of an era for them tomorrow.
Well, in a sense, like I said, there's some stuff going on with my brother, so my brother won't be there.
I didn't know about that, actually. I knew Ryan told me he wasn't allowing or signing off on photos, but he's not participating in anything. So he's not coming to the day that I get out. He's not being on camera. He's not wanting to be a part of my book. He's just not participating in anything. Now, I don't know, I know he will probably want to hang out with me at some point whenever we go to cutoff, but off camera. So he's very withdrawn right now, and that's the whole family. That's not just me. That's Mia. That's Dad. That's Christy. He is so wrapped up in this girl's vagina that he has basically just distanced himself from his family. Oh, okay. So this isn't about you per se. He's not like, okay. He just wants his privacy. He's not into it. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's not like he has anything against you. But now, his wife is just, like any other wife would be all about her family and not his, and just kind of
He's very possessive and controlling. She starts to fight for anything. She starts to fight because, so my dad likes to hunt, and Mia likes to hunt, and Dylan would go hunting. Hunting deer is a big thing for them. They love to do it.
Oh, yeah, so, my dad too.
Okay, so anyway, Anita, which is his wife's name, does not like any time being spent other than with her. So she will start a fight whenever he goes over to hunt with Dad. She'll start a fight whenever he goes over to visit our sister. And she doesn't really like him to visit our sister because my sister has some very attractive friends, and one of them he had previously like slept with long ago. So, she's just like, everything's about me. You need to be about me. You need to be about my kids and my life and our life together. So she's kind of like definitely put a strain on the family dynamic.
Right. Well, sounds like every American family I know, including my brother. But yeah. So okay. Well, I just wanted to know about Christmas, just because next year when the book's coming out, you'll already have had like your Christmas with the fam and all of it. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which gives me which definitely like, okay, so I know that we're doing these interviews right now. You and I are talking about things for the memoir. Do we have a set outline for the story arc of when this picks up, how long into my life this goes, and how much detail does each event have?
Right. Well, yeah.
I
know.
Like, how much? Where is the stopping point? Where does something pick up? I guess that's kind of like what I'm wondering, where we're going to go with this.
Yeah, I'm wondering too. No, I'm just kidding. So we did a lot of heavy lifting, believe it or not, when you and I were working on the ebook.
Okay.
So we had gone through the original.
From a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
We had gone through the original proposal together, you and I. Okay, the first chapter. The proposal outline was basically linear. Like early life. The moving around, the divorce. The dynamic between you and your dad, getting to know. The Petries. We went through, you and I. So I'm going back to those transcripts. I don't know, the manuscripts have to be written and sent into the publisher by March 15th.
Okay.
So I'm going to.
My grandmother's birthday.
Oh, that's wonderful. Which grandmother?
Oh, the one that passed away, Emma.
Oh, that's great. So I basically, once I get back from the holiday, this trip, I'm going to be writing like a crazy person. I mean, I was hoping like the entire month of January, like while you're doing your thing, like I'm going to be, heavily in the writing. Now, I've been trying to think about, like, just from the, like, in terms of the craft of writing, like, how will the book be framed is what they call it. Like, we could, I could open, like, there are different ways I've been thinking about it. So we can open with you look, kind of like, that's why I want to be there when you are released. Because I don't want to have to interview you and be like, how was it, like, walking out? Like, I kind of want to try to help be there because I'm pretty empathic, right? So I can give it my best stab and, like, write it, and then you can go ahead and, like, make it accurate if it's off completely, but it won't be. I think you've seen through the ebook, like, I can listen to you and then pretty much give it back, like, anyway. So we can open with, like, you seeing the prison from the outside for the first time, from, like, a free woman who's standing up and, has this life. And we can then use that as flashback technique, like, where I am here now on the release day, and then you look back into the prison and we can go backwards flashback. We could start at the very beginning flashback and just start at childhood and just.
Do you think it would be possible, and this is just throwing an idea out
there. Yeah, totally.
And I know this is like a long scope of things, but do you think that perhaps we could make my life story a trilogy? So ebook and then memoir and then like a follow-up book that would be done maybe 5 years from now or something. I don't know if the publisher would be interested in something like that, where I'm kind of talking about my life in
well,
the
that's,
world.
I mean, it's all about sales, Gypsy. If the memoir sells, they will get you another contract for the third book. You know what I mean? It's all about how much money did we make? Were we successful with this investment? If the ebook does great and then we sell this book and it sells great, that's really how they determine it. They will never commit to something like that before they can just see it. Yeah, but yeah, and really, I mean, your platform could be completely different next year. That you'll be commanding more of an advance anyway. They'll have to see if they can even afford you. You know what I mean?
True.
So yeah. So I mean, the thing. So my point is, because I have to deliver this manuscript so quickly, it's going to be a hard stop. Like, it's not going to be taking it too far into. It might just be documenting like the party, because that's where I'll be, and then that's it. And then it's like everyone will have to wait and see what happens in the next book, or I guess they're going to be watching a bit of it in June. So that's the other thing to consider as well, is by the time, we can't go too far because it'll be redundant to what they'll have already seen in June, because our book comes out 5 months later and it'll be like, why are you telling me stuff I already saw? So
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, there are things I need to accomplish. We both need to accomplish with the manuscript. Is on top, front and center is to slow down the storytelling, make it more intimate, make it more emotional, make it more revealing in that way. Even the things that they think they know, right? That's how we're going to differentiate. But then also to really drop some bombs, to kind of, not bombs, but like to really have said, yes, I did still hold back a few other things that nobody has known yet. And this way, we do retain those for the memoir. Lifetime didn't know this. The podcast people don't know this. Good Morning America don't know this. These are things that I've been thinking and speaking about with Michelle, and that's why they're in this book. So I think that those are, the storytelling component and how we frame and how things unravel. As you saw with the ebook, I believe like it kind of just becomes what it's supposed to be. I let the writing just come out, and if it's good writing, I just keep going with it, and then I worry about organization later. Because I mean, I was thinking even like, what if we could even get really creative and decide we're opening with the night of we're opening with the night of. Remember how we were doing the ebook and we're like, why don't we just open the book and just say, "Dear Mom," like just give it to them, right? And because what I like about this idea of like opening with 12 hours countdown, that's why I was asking you, like everything you were doing that day leading up, right? But we're not actually getting to the murder part yet, but we're opening up with the day. We open up with June, what is it, June 15th? June 15th. Yeah.
I'm sorry, June. All right. What do you want? What do you want? The murder? Do you want 12 hours before? Do you want, the murder happened on June 10th. So. Right.
Yeah. But that was like at like 1 o'clock in the morning though, right? On the 10th.
It was like 3. The murder happened at around like 3 o'clock in the morning on June 10th.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So if we did like open the book with June 9th, 2015, right? And they're like, what? Like they're thinking they're going to start at like, I was born in Louisiana. You know what I mean? They're thinking, okay, we're going to get the memoir, right? I was born this, and I'm Cajun, and this is what it was like in my house, and we lived with my grandma. We got in an accident. Like going that route, or we open with June 9th, right? 12 hours before, like say 3 p.m., right? You're coming back from Walmart. And then what happens is we can use each hour before leading closer, we use that as the flashback technique. So say you just got back from Walmart, right? And we're on June 9th. It could possibly be that like we flash back to the first time you were at Walmart with your mom in Louisiana and how she taught you, I learned to shoplift in Walmart. And like now we go back, but we're not doing it linearly. We're always in the 12-hour framework of murder, which keeps the reader in the murder the whole time.
Well,
Do you understand?
I trust you. and whatever creative.
I know you're like whatever.
Whatever creative ideas you have, I am good with and good with listening to. You know, I have read books that they kind of did the flashback thing, and I always found that very difficult. Now that's just for me, but I always found that very difficult to stick with. And for me, like the first chapter of a book, if I don't like the first chapter, I'm not going to read the rest of the book. I'm actually a really picky reader, and so the first chapter does not grab me, I don't read the rest of it. But I think I kind of like the idea of starting with, okay, what is the like climactic moment, and then maybe going back.
Right. I'm going to try that because, you know, especially if they just, because then I was saying to Melissa, I'm like, if we call this a time to stand, my time to stand, I like this time aspect. Like they could like do because now we're doing like 12 or 24 hours before. And because most is like, you know, everyone wants to know like what was in your mind the day leading up, knowing that this was going to happen. And like that's the big question. So it's like, well, what if that's the framework of the book? So these are the 12 or 24 hours, whatever. I'd have to play around with what I need in terms of the timeline. I might need more hours, but you know, if it's like I woke up and you know, Mama, you know, was in the kitchen, and this is what we ate for breakfast, and then that just becomes a regular discussion. It's like it's not really flashback. It just winds up like we're always in the day, but what you're doing is really bringing us back to, you know, to your day-to-day existence and the dynamic you guys had. Like, so I'm going to experiment with it, but like I said, I mean, it really is. I have that proposal outline that you saw, that you were comfortable with, and that you and I basically did our interviews based on, like from front to, like from top, like literally the beginning, like your first early memories to, you know, to today where we're talking about Christmas.
Right. And I think, you know, I think that, you know, you have enough pull and like a good rapport with the people, the publisher, Rick, and to pull ideas and say, okay, what do you think about this idea? Do you think this would sell better creatively wise? You know, pull from Melissa too. Like I said, I'm coming into this as just strictly, you know, the person with the information. Y'all are the creative.
Could you put yourself, I mean, I know you're so close to your story, but could you put yourself in a reader's position since you are a picky reader and say, you know, even with another high profile person like a Casey Anthony, what would you want the book to give you immediately that would make this like, oh, this is going to be good? Like, where would you start?
I would probably have to say, like, you know, let's pick a high-profile case that happened recently. All right, so did you hear about the Chris Watts case?
Oh yeah, I'm writing about it with Melissa.
Okay, so you know, I remember his interview and watching it live when he's like, I don't know where my wife is. I want my kids to come home and all of that. I remember watching that, and you know, so, because it didn't happen that long ago. So, you know, I have watched a lot of specials, and for me, I am kind of like, I am not interested in the night of the murder. I am more interested in knowing what it was in his life to get him to that point. And, you know, it's so sad because it's like, I feel like they seem like a very happy family, and like what was the arguments that him and his wife would have behind closed doors? Like looking at the happy pictures, what was their day-to-day life looking like? So, I mean, but I'm not a fan of true crime. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a fan of true crime. So
yeah, I'm not either.
You know, but you know, that was a case that was kind of like, I did watch the movies, I did watch the specials and everything, and I, you know, that I just can't seem to figure it out. Like, why didn't you just divorce her? Like, if you were that unhappy, why didn't you just divorce her?
Well, isn't that the same kind of thing when they're like, well, why don't you just get up?
Yes. So it's kind of like I'm just as guilty of it, but it's because I don't understand it.
Right.
What would make me understand why was divorce not an option? Give me the facts behind it. What was going through his mind? Why divorce wasn't an option?
You know what might be a good? I mean, I'm fascinated by this larynx exploratory surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if like that could even be an opener. That then leads to flashback, right? Because maybe we do, take a little liberty with the discussion about like, are you trying to literally take my voice from me? Like that sets up a theme, right? The theme of control, absolute control. It, the fact that it's coming to a head. She and you are both maybe, you have that standoff, right, where with the BB gun and all this. We'll write, we won't open with that. But I'm just saying, like, what if it's like you open with like you're putting the gun on the mantle a little, saying you're not going to say yes.
We could open like with the discussion of me saying how I had previous surgeries on my throat. Okay. Because I had the salivary gland surgery on my throat, which I still have the scars. They're pretty noticeable. And discuss how I was dreading having this upcoming exploratory surgery to figure out, why my voice was so high-pitched. That might be a really good opener because the medical aspect of it is what sets it apart from other murder cases. Okay. So open with that, and then lead that into where it's building. Because isn't in storytelling you have to build into this like climax?
Yep.
And you have to like de-escalate this, the story too, kind of like calm down. So I think the calm down could be like my childhood. And explaining that. And then another build up would be like my release day.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think that throat surgery and again, like I hate to like put all this into your, words in your mouth for you, but like I think that the voice and the speaking and the control is all symbolized, right, through that, without having to say, Mama, who's controlling me. That's the showing part is like, don't you see the symbolism of this? Like, why is it all about my mouth and my throat?
Right.
Like you're shoving.
Like my teeth, my salivary glands. Before they removed my salivary glands, they were shooting Botox to make them inactive. And then my mom would just put like more Orajel on my mouth. And so I would drool more at the hospital. And so where they're like, the Botox is no longer working. So we're going to go with something a little bit more permanent. And that's when they took out the salivary gland.
Right. And then you also have this tube, the oxygen mask where, you're contained and muzzled at night.
Yeah.
Like we could turn these things into symbols.
We can. I think that would be a really good idea. Turn it into some symbols, and put a lot of emphasis on that. And I think that because me not wanting to have that surgery was such a big, and that fear was such a big pushover that kind of tossed me over the edge, So I think by putting emphasis on that and just have that be like, okay, this is the snapping point. This is where I'm like, I've had it up to here with unnecessary surgeries, and I'm realizing I've found out, I realize this is unnecessary.
Yeah.
And then go from there where, it goes night of the murder and the events that followed after, and then do a flashback to childhood or something like that.
Yeah.
The childhood to be expressed and fully laid out.
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially with, with Claude, and then you have, just there's so much to cover in terms of like just even some of the witchcraft and like that's why I asked you about your culture, your traditions. I mean, there's so much to that people want to know you. They so part of knowing you is what is your culture like? What was living in Louisiana like? The whole thing that happened with the getting kicked out of your home. I mean, when your mom was like, "Thanks, brother," and then you're out, and then I mean that starts her going on the run. I mean that paints so much context and layers. So I'm really excited about that. But I think this idea to open with this surgery, this is the part that nobody knows. Give it to them right up front, but and then make these metaphors so that and then maybe it just that chapter just ends with going on Facebook Messenger and being like, I don't know, did you just call him Nick or did you call him Master or did you just like reach out and say?
That would be a different time. So I would call him Nick for just to address him regularly. And unless he instructed me to call him Victor or the Dark One, I didn't. So I just called him Nick.
So did you come back from so now, like, let's just say this is the opening chapter. So, like, where you went to Kansas City, is that where you were going for all of this? Or,
yes.
And what kind of doctor was this?
It was the breathing doctor.
Oh,
What is
okay.
Pulmonologist.
Pulmonologist. Okay, yeah. Okay. And this is the point where they're like, okay, this isn't working. She's still drooling, even though she was giving you Orajel.
And that was, that doctor was an ear, nose, and throat.
Okay, that was the ear. Wait, the doctor who said this isn't working anymore, the ear, nose, and throat guy?
I had the ear, nose, and throat doctor. His name was Dr. Olson. He was operating out of Springfield. And then my pulmonologist was in Kansas City at Children's Mercy.
All right. Okay.
And I had my salivary glands removed in '07.
Okay. Now, why did you think you were taking Orajel, or did you even realize it?
My mom would put Orajel in my mouth, so like I seen the tube.
Right. But she just did it like as part of your morning work.
Yeah, she would do it like in the waiting room too. Like it wasn't even like in disguise. It was just like put it in the mouth.
Oh wow. Okay. So now the pulmonologist in Kansas City is the one who's now like, okay, we realized did Dr.
The pulmonologist was for like the CPAP machine that I was on for the breathing. And so the breathing issues, quote unquote, tied into the throat stuff. Because they had, they would look, and because of the way the larynx works and everything, it has, factors over breathing. So they figured that, well, maybe something is wrong with her breathing at night because there's something wrong with her larynx. And also that would attribute to why maybe her voice is so high. So we need to go in there and have a good look around and maybe open up something. And they want to, like, cut it open. And I'm just like, oh, my God.
Right. And so that was the pulmonologist who was going to do that surgery. Okay. What was the name of your ear, nose, and throat? Can you spell his name? Dr.
Olson.
Olson? O-L-S-O-N?
It was A-L.
Oh, A-L-S-O-N?
A-L-S-A, yes, Olson, yeah.
Okay. Okay, we probably won't name names anyway, but, okay.
Interesting. I was looking at, I think I remember reading to you, Christy had sent me, because she had a lot of my medical records. She had sent me a screenshot of one of the medical records. And it was so crazy because one doctor had me listed as being born in '93. And if you look at the bottom of the page, it has like a patient, Gypsy Rose, one word, Blanchard with the E. And then you look at the bottom of the page where it's addressing a different doctor. And their hospital had Gypsy Rose, two words, Blanchard without the E and born in 95. I'm like, there's some discrepancy here. Like, how did nobody get this? I mean, did they say, oh, it's a typo? You know?
Wow. So do you come back from this pulmonologist and he's like, okay, let's schedule this surgery, and then you go to Nick?
No, it was just more of, we came back from Kansas City, went back to Springfield, went back home. I had talked to my mom, and I'm like, I'm really, really afraid to have this surgery. And, later that night is when I'm like, they scheduled me for a surgery. I don't want to have it. I'm going to ask my mom. I'm going to talk to her and see if maybe I can talk her out of it, and maybe I can get her to cancel it or something. And he's like, I talked to her. She's like, no, you're absolutely having it. And then so later that night, I'm like, she's still making me have it. Like, it's not, I failed. Like, she's not budging. She's making me have it.
Yeah.
And
that's what you told him?
Huh?
That's what you told him, or you were just thinking that to yourself?
I was telling him this over messages.
Right. And then that's when we started with the whole, like, I would protect you, fantasy world kind of stuff.
Well, he did that, a year prior, but yeah.
That's right.
It's still based on the same,
So this is the part where you say, would you still protect, remember what you said last year?
Yeah,
would you still?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because I think that would be an amazing last line of the chapter, right? Would you still protect me? Would you be able to still, protect me from people who hurt me? And then he says yes. And then next chapter is you're 5 years old in Louisiana. And then we start, and we leave them on that little cliffhanger, and then now we can see all of the manifestations of the symbols and metaphors of the throat, of the breathing, of the mouth, of you being suffocated, like literally, and metaphorically speaking, by her, and we see how did that all develop from the very beginning.
Right, exactly.
I love it.
I like that.
Now that I know, like, how this what this first chapter might be, we could really flush it out.
Right.
Like, the date, maybe, like, I don't know if you know the date, or if I can get my hands on the medical records with Christy and copies or something.
I absolutely could get my hands on these kinds of things, as soon as I get out.
Yeah. No, I know, and and I don't want to, I know you and I, like, we all, but you and I especially want this book to be like a rocking, true, detailed, accurate memoir.
Right.
But I also really, Gypsy, want to respect your time. That's why I'm kind of really taking up a lot of your time right now, because I do want to be respectful of your privacy and your boundaries and what you need to get accomplished in January. But if I even just get those medical records, photocopies, that would be.
I can get them photocopied, no problem. I think the last day of filming for the follow-up doc is on the 16th of the 15th of January. So in the first 2 weeks of January, I'm going to be uber busy. But the rest of the month, I will have nothing to do. Ryan goes back to work. I'm going to be in an apartment by myself. So I'll be able to really dive in, get records. And I would love, I wish I could get my hands on, and maybe I'll talk to Christy about it, if she has, like, the case file. I didn't want a case file in my possession because I didn't want pictures. I just didn't want to be reminded of it. I don't need it, there's no reason that I need it. But for the purposes of the book, I can see if she could send it to you. And then that way you could see actual case file, you could see medical records, you can get accurate information.
Yeah. Even if, I wonder if you speak to her at all before Thursday, was it Thursday even? Wednesday or Thursday?
I can have Brian do a merge call, because even though I don't have any money on my phone, I can have Brian and I do a merge call where he pays for the call, and because we're on a merge call, I can, ask her to, if she has any of these, bring them up. bring them up
Yeah,
to the airport.
Yeah. If she could make photocopies of at least the medical records for me that I could take back with me, that would be amazing. Because those first 2 weeks, I'll dive in too. So it'd be kind of cool that by the time you get done with everything, say it's the third week of January, I'll have a good idea of how the writing's going, and it'll be a good place for you and I to pick up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like I feel better now. Okay, yeah. So, how does it feel about not having any more money on your account? That must be like a symbolic.
My roommates have been really nice, and they have, like, I ran out of canteen like a week and a half ago. So, like, I have nothing but coffee, creamer, and sugar in my locker, and I think a bag of cereal. But, like, everything else from, like, canteen that I used to get, I have no groceries. So they've been feeding me their canteen. They're like, I'll make you a box of macaroni and cheese. I'll make you a bagel sandwich. You know, I'll make you this. I'll make you a potato wrap. And they feed me. When they cook, they make extra so they can feed me too.
That's great.
I've
That's
never
really
been in a
nice.
position where I was broke, so I'm like, oh my God.
Right? Oh, that's good. Yeah, but I guess, you know, that's why I'm putting $5 at a time on, and Ryan's like, oh, that's not going to get you far. And I was just like,
No,
you know what?
I think it's like $4. It's like $3 or something.
I don't know. He said it was like, yeah, it was something like 15 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, so okay, well, I'm excited. So you know, I don't know if you want to talk again before next week, but you know, if you think about more like we could think about this opening chapter. You know, like we could really flesh it out. Like if you want to talk again on
a little bit of some restructuring, the framework, right?
Well, yeah, just now that we know, like, okay, figure a chapter is about 5,000 words. So it's like, how do we make this chapter about this, you know, the ear, nose, and throat stuff? We might need to just go through, like, I mean, we have to get 5,000 words, right? So that's why I'm always, we need to really elaborate when we can, right? So it's like, I have this CPAP machine, and then we
when I open my mouth, the air comes out of my mouth, and it's really hard to breathe and sleep with this.
And sleep with it, right? Because you didn't need it.
Yeah, I don't need it at all.
Right, and so like the sensation of like, what did that feel like? How did that feel?
It felt like, you know, it was what a CPAP does is air that is being pressed into your lungs. So think of like an air, you know, that thing that you pump your tires with or something. In your nose or your mouth.
Oh my God!
Air is being forced into you.
Wow.
So it's uncomfortable. Like especially because you don't need it. It's like you don't need this flow of air in you.
Right. Yeah, and that was from how old?
Let's see. My first experience with a breathing machine was as a baby. It was a sleep apnea monitor and a machine. And then my CPAP machine came in 2007.
Now, your father and mother were still together when you first had that baby machine, right?
Yes.
And that was not real? You didn't need that?
No, I didn't need that.
Do you remember what the catalyst of her taking to the doctor saying, I don't think she's breathing at night? Like, how does that work?
I don't know. Like I said, I was too young. You know, I was a
toddler,
so I don't remember. But I remember
Right.
My family said that she had like to pay for the machine. She had like jars, you know, those like money jars at like gas stations and stores.
Okay. Maybe maybe I could ask your dad about that.
Yeah.
Because that's what I mean. That's the kind of, you know, elaboration that makes 5,000 words.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So, okay, I'll maybe have a list, or if there's a list that you want to keep of things that
my dad doesn't know something, you know, Christy, she has a memory bank, like so incredible. And she knows things and remembers things from when all this happened, because it's like her and my dad were friends, if not together, at the time. And so she remembers a lot of things.
Okay, no, that's great. I mean, either way, you know, I will, you know, and if you need to, like, again, thinking about this as the entry point for the book, you know, if you want to keep notes of details about all of the elements surrounding ear, nose, and throat and pulmonology, that's probably a really good list to keep. And then we can kind of go through the different elements that we can kind of take it in.
I had a lot done as far as, like, I had a pulmonologist, you know, my whole life. And so, you know, sleep studies, I've been through bunches of sleep studies where they observed me and how I breathe sleeping at night. I had tubes in my ears, and at one point even permanent tubes in my ears that, you know, I had to get removed at one point. So the ear, nose, and throat has been like a lot in my life.
Were you having ear infections or something, or what was the tubes for?
I would have ear infections every once in a while, but my mom was saying that I had, like, them chronically. And so they had put tubes in my ears. And one time I did have an ear infection that my eardrum ruptured, and it was called otis mia with perforation. I remember the doctor saying that. It was like bleeding, and I'm like, oh, my God. But definitely the ear, nose, and throat and mouth has always been a real big issue there.
Yeah. And the focus on sleep, I mean, what were they looking in the sleep studies? Didn't they notice that you didn't have sleep apnea? I mean, you could kind of tell if a kid is not breathing in her sleep.
I know, right? You know, part of me wonders, like, did my mom manipulate that in any way? Because she would give me Benadryl or NyQuil before the sleep study. So I don't know if that because they needed to know what medications I was on before, and I'm not sure, you know, if that made any difference.
You have 1 minute left.
In sleep or anything, but every time I had a sleep study, she would give me Benadryl and NyQuil.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I think this is great, like, that we have this to focus on. So if you want to keep some notes or do some writing, and then do you want to call me on the 26th?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome. Just I'm so excited. We're like writers. Yay. Okay.
I'll talk soon. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Have a nice nap.
You too. I mean, have a nice rest